Yo, what's going on, guys? Koi here. Today we're going to be talking about a brand new tier list for DBOG, pretty much the races, because a lot of people have been asking for this. And as someone who has played the game and seen these brand new, just like from the old way the game was made to the brand new way that they want to take it direction wise, stats don't really matter too much anymore. And since stats don't really matter too much anymore because now everything's based off your level, if you're literally just level 700, you're going to destroy everything in the game. So, with that type of stuff happening, it's just the way the game is now. Uh, so, you know, and pretty much the end game is the same for all these races now because now it's not like, stuff like the half Saiyans where they only had like no legend form yet, and now their legend form is pretty much everyone else's legend form at the end game. So I mean, once you get to level 600, everyone gets the same transformation at the end, which is ultimate form. So I mean, there's not much there. You know what I mean? There's not much individuality anymore. The only thing we can judge these races based off of is literally probably just a couple things, such as mostly availability of their legend quest. How soon can they do it? But even at that, I don't think I want to do that anymore too because that doesn't make any sense. Dependent on obviously the the actual quest line itself just doesn't matter anymore because now it's level based. So that's another thing, you know what I mean? Now everything's level based, so that pretty much makes everything low key useless whenever it comes down to most of the stuff that we're going to end up talking about. But let's go ahead and talk about race abilities and which ones go further in certain builds and how do these do better than other races and such and such. So let's talk about it. First things first, I think that we should talk about probably just down the list. So let's go human. I think that human is probably now back up to the top again, especially because now you don't have to worry about like stat points. The legend stage is pretty early. You can get this on Earth 1, and you can pretty much release your potential and use the ultimate charge. Because if you haven't seen, they also like shadow buffed the ultimate charge rate, key charging. So, I mean, now it feels like the old charge rate from like a while back, like back when it first came out. So now spamming ultimates is more feasible, more available. And I think that human really just shines now that like pretty much you don't have to worry about stats. You're pretty much going to gain all the power that you need through levels. So as long as you're a certain level, you're going to be just fine. And human just really puts it on top now. And I think I'm going to make myself a human slot pretty soon. All right. Next, we're going to talk about Saiyans. Now, whenever this one works, this one only works in a very specific way. Like I said, we're not really going to be talking about stats because everyone's stats are going to pretty much be on the same caliber. The only difference is that you do get a slight buff whenever it comes down to Saiyans and half Saiyans, which is, it's a decent buff. I wouldn't say it's the most craziest, but a point 0.1 is still better than anything. Um, but basic attack damage doubles whenever your health turns red. So this would make sense if melee was still OP as heck. But as of this moment, with the way that they worked on stats, you can't glass cannon melee anymore because your physical M1s are not going to do as much as an actual skill now. They want to make everything based off of skills, no longer M1s, because if you try to point dump everything into melee, right? And then you're fighting a new boss and stuff like that, it just doesn't make any sense anymore because now you're doing like little bits of damage compared to how much damage you used to do to that boss by just dumping all your points in melee. And yes, there are melee moves you could use, but honestly, it doesn't make it any better, especially if you already have to be low. And the way that the new system works, you can't cheese health anymore, too. Now, if you get hit and the boss is much stronger than you might not even get into the red. You might just die if you don't have any points in HP. Like we put 1,000 points in HP, 1,300 points in HP, and we still got like shot by Majin Buu at level 650. I mean at level 550, almost 575 to be exact, and that's just pretty rough, man. So honestly, Saiyans aren't really on that caliber anymore. Honestly, you might as well just go human at that point and spam ultimates rather than having to struggle to use melee based moves now. It just isn't the same. Now with Ki and half Saiyans, move attack damage doubles when your health turns red. So move attack damage. This does not say key based attack damage. This does not say physical attack damage. Move attack damage. So pretty much your moves. And we know that right now moves are actually the new meta right now because key and physical attacks just don't work the way that they used to. So I mean, this is just a better version of Saiyan now. Now that they kind of flipped the bill, and now they want you to focus more on moves than they want you to focus on actual melee stats. So, having double the damage on something like Dragon Fist and double the damage on something like Final Explosion just does make more sense than having now damage based off your physical abilities. And it could go S tier for that because that's the new meta, but honestly, it really just depends, man. We'll see what happens. We have Namekians. Honestly, whenever it comes down to Namekians, they just get the crap end of the stick. They don't really get a lot of love, and they only come with regeneration, which is just a weaker version of Majin and no other passives. So, with their stats and the way they work, they've always just been a C until they actually get an actual major buff. But as of this moment, they haven't gotten touched at all, dude. Like, they're like DBOG players on Valentine's Day. No touching. All right. Freaking Frost Demon, 2 times key charge rate. Now, this is where we're cooking. Now, if you're a key based build dude and you are getting some freaking work done, like, you're going to be spamming key moves like crazy. And especially with the minor boosts done with the key recharge already. This is just a much better version uh just to play with. Actually, if you're going to do a full glass cannon key build, this is the way to do it. You're going to be chunking the heck out of whatever boss you're going to be fighting because key moves are much better than physical moves, hands down. Just because there's so many now that just do way more damage or they're more successful in hitting their target. Then you can't forget the brand new stun meta. So in my opinion, if you're going to go crazy on a key build, this is definitely the way to do it. Honestly, incredibly solid. Yeah. All right. Next, we're going to talk about uh, the next one, which is going to be androids. Now, auto key regeneration does make sense, but the rate that this key regeneration happens at is so weak that it's almost negligible to even try to use it. You know what I mean? Because if it was like a fast key rate regen, it'd be much faster than, dealing with Frieza's 2 times regen. But it doesn't feel like that at all. It really just feels like a weaker key gen, which just makes this race incredibly weak, and they just don't get touched the same way Namekians do. And man, would I touch Android 18! All right, next we're going to talk about bio androids. Health while key regeneration is honestly not bad. It used to be a more broken, obviously more crazy race back in the day where you would be able to get regeneration passively, but key regeneration on charge, it's nice for a key build. Honestly, there's a lot of survivability, but it doesn't really bring anything crazy to the table. So I can't really put it up there with other races that do like a lot more. You get my drift? All right. So next we're going to be talking about Majin. Now Majin with the super regeneration and absorption, it's pretty much like just free. So like you could solo the world with this race, man. You can just go absolutely insane, bat wild with this race, man. You can have 2 times stats. You can have pretty much regeneration that gives you half your HP back, an entire bar of HP. If you consider the 2 bars, separate. This race is just ridiculous, man, and you can't go wrong with Majin. As a new player, as a veteran player, you could just make your build much stronger every single time. Never having to worry about using or transforming or fusing or having a timer limit. This is just permanent, man. Permanent, just permanent. And it's great. Next, we're going to talk about Demon. Now, Demon did get a slight buff. We finally got like the actual race ability for Demon, which came with an update before Janemba came out. But using weapons increased melee damage by 1.1. So I mean, it's kind of a nice touch. But you're literally just doing that. Like if you're going to be doing a melee build, right, with Demon, and you need a sword in order to do that extra bit of damage, you're still doing the exact same amount of damage as Bojack's race, which just doesn't make your race any better than Bojack's race. Now, in my opinion, this race is just basically a normal race with no actual buffs or attributes added to it. because you know the whole thing is you're supposed to get like a big buff with your sword, but the buff is so minuscule, so minor that it just equals out to Bojack's buff. So it's like you might as well just play Bojack's race at that point, because why even worry about playing the demon race at all? I will say that the demon race does have a pretty cool like dragon form at the end, like with their legend and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. You know what I mean? Uh, I think it's called the Phantom Demon, which is a giant form for the end game. But honestly, I'm very confused on the way that they're doing big guys like giants now, because I think have like Saiyans got nerfed on their giant form. So I think they just don't want giant forms to be broken in PvP, but like, it is what it is. Bojack's race Bojack's race physical skills have no consumption at red health, which means you could just keep spamming rushes like crazy at red health, which is low key just broken as heck. Also has the highest scaling like physical damage modifier right there next to Frieza's highest scaling key damage modifier. So if you're just going to be using straight up hands, this is like a very solid race to go with, because you never go wrong with just doing straight hands with Bojack, especially because it's mostly physical damage, and he benefits whenever he's in the red, because now you could just continuously spam physical moves and rushes and never have to worry about wasting any type of stamina consumption. And it's just very broken, man. Very, very broken. Honestly, very solid race. Kai. Kai pretty much gets like this little bonus. Using energy weapons changes your damage scaling with basic melee. So pretty much what this means is it literally just means if you use energy weapons, you could use physical energy damage with ki. But the damage doesn't scale as high as you think it does. You actually do a little less damage than most melee builds in the game. It's just nice to have. So I mean, with the way that it works now and M1's being absolutely useless, it's just not really up there. Now Piccolo's got to go down one for sure. Android's probably got to go down one as well, honestly. This is kind of where I feel like they should belong. Until they get like an actual real buff, then we'll worry about them. But as of this moment, they just don't do anything. That's why you don't see a lot of them flying around. Truffle. Truffles are actually absolutely insane for their PvP know-how. Whenever it comes down to just PvP and PvE, landing critical hits give 7%, like take 70%, 7% of an enemy's stamina, which is just insane for PvE and PvP, just hands down. So I mean, Tuffles, they're just so unique with the way that their passive actually works. It's because you land criticals pretty quickly, especially if you're someone who's using a faster fighting style. This is a way you could drain and then just spam moves right after. Honestly, incredibly solid. Can't go wrong with Tuffles. It's just really nice. Now we're going to talk about the next race, which I believe is Yardradians. Yeah, Yardrats. Faster key gain when you hit opponents. So max power gain bonus. Faster key gain whenever you hit opponents is pretty cool, but honestly, it just doesn't beat something like Frieza's passive, which is just better. Yardradians are pretty cool, but like once you get them in a physical fight, they don't really do too much. There are a lot of people who kind of like love this niche faction of like a race, but it really just doesn't do anything crazy for me and a lot of people. Because honestly, we do have the Canassians, which are a much funner race because they have 2 times like stamina regen, which is kind of nice because if you're a melee user, this is like just having Bojack's race, except you're going to be using this with pretty much everything physical. So yeah, no, that pretty much does it. All right. Well, that pretty much does it for this tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit that notification bell down below, all the fun stuff. Yeah, let me know your opinions and everything down in the comments below. I'll see you guys later. Take it easy and peace.